I used to lie on the floor for hours after school, with the phone cradled between my shoulder and my ear, a plate of cold rice to my left, my school books to my right. Twirling the cord between my fingers, I spoke to friends who recognized the language of our realm. Throats and lungs swollen, we talked into the heart of the night, toying with the idea of hair dye and suicide, about the boys who didn't love us, who we loved too much, the pang of the nights. Each sentence was new territory, a door someone was rushing into, the glass shattering with delirium, with knowledge and fear. My mother never complained about the phone bill, what it cost for her daughter to disappear behind a door, watching the cord stretching its muscle away from her. Perhaps she thought it was the only way she could reach me, sending me away to speak in the underworld. As long as I was speaking, she could put my ear to the tenuous earth, allow me to listen, to decipher. And these were the elements of my mother, the earthed wire, the burning cable, as if she flowed into the room with me to somehow say, stay where I can reach you, the dim room, the dark earth. Speak of this, and when you feel removed from it, I will pull the cord and take you back towards me. The next poems that I'm going to read are from my new book, Cailleach, the Hag of Beara, and I'm from the Irish parish and the Beara Peninsula, and just across Cailleach Bay from us there's a rock there that's supposed to be the petrified remains of the Hag of Beara, this kind of earth goddess. I wanted to write a story about Beara, and I wanted to write a love story as well, so I wrote about this woman from Beara, from rural Ireland, and she falls in love with a fisherman who is lost at sea. But I still loved that image of this woman kind of breaking out of stone and turning back into stone as well. Sister. It wasn't my calf she killed that screamed its absence, but the green viciousness in her eye, exploding like water over coals as she tasted the blood. No sooner she slaughtered than she ran, smiling, and I after her up the soft slopes, my skirts chiming against the grass. Sister bitch. She was always a cocky thing, but slow. Honestly, I preferred her dead, her black teeth chilling in the mud like an afterbirth. So we planned a war for morning, after breakfast. When the houses began to yawn their shadows, I dressed warmly, climbed the mountain and piled rocks by my ankles, size, weight and number, a stone for her side. Hissing, she stood on an opposite hill, flinging her stones, missing me one by one. The sun couldn't throw such fires. I hit back at her catcalls, her blood, her startled face as her slim feet began to stumble on the ledge. Every rock I threw tunneled through the air and drowned her ears with their dullness. I charmed her tongue to such sweetness then. She cried reason, so I reasoned with that, seeing her look down where the grey rocks open like the rageless mouths of roots. I admit she held her fists until the end, her arms spinning and spinning in the wind's loom. Just as she staggered to the edge, I readied my smile and flung my last. A breath, a clear breath, sister, to help when your balance snaps. This is called Lost. It's about the night of her husband's, the night he's lost at sea. Having watched the flashing shoals all day, he went out in the late evening with the men. The mackerel and nets and distant houses seemed to be made from silver or a grey steel, under the moonless shroud of dark over the bay. I watched the silhouette of my love's head set like a heart in the follower boat, his back bent, as if he would heave them all out alone from the pier. I felt it before I heard it, pressed it to my skin, my lips. It became as visible as the lighthouse light icing through the shadows. An hour before his boat went down, I ran my hand over his small bedside cupboard, followed the stream of his mornings around the room. It was as if the shell of his breathing that drew a shape in his pillow suddenly weakened, fell slack as a cheek in that nest. When the morning rose, I waited behind the kitchen window, watching the sea lull quiet. I thought of a blinding dawn and the world underneath. I thought of the foxgloves waiting in the meadows. I felt it before they told me. The cold, the tuneless shriek. Up from the darkened landings the last few came, bearing their knives and lure, their hands pickled, bright as fish, rising slowly in the ebb tide. Rapture. I dreamed that when I turned from the strand, I saw a furze bush shivering up on the hill, and the bush itself a moving calm. When I crawled beneath it, I found your hands, trembling together, dusted gold with the fallen petals. I gathered them into my arms and kissed them, kissed away the bloom of mud from your palms, kissed and kissed wildly the needle wounds, the grooves of your knuckle buds, their cold light spreading like a scent in the lightning blistered twilight. Back on the shore, I found your chest, dashed with shingle and knuckled with cold. Altogether, I found your arms, feet, ribs, your face glistening like a jeweled heart among the limpets, and the gift of your lips brought to my face like a cloth. When I had pieced you together, you were still, and I lay with you, pressed the soft clay of my flesh into your hollows, as if we were not separate. I did not move, like a barnacle to your side, love, until the tide turns its coats and the world unfasten me. This is called The Dancing Rooms. Then they called Melodian Jim to play, and I heard through the sets of dancers his gathering the chord notes in the box, a riddled mounting to the tune path. The sound strikes against the frame of the room, and you take my hand gently into the gleaming middle of the music, the cross-stitch of movements in lamplight. All night the bay foams in the rock pools like 1,000 fallen swan feathers, secretly as young girls arranging their hair, something seen in the backward glances. Our feet and bodies batter on the boards, an enunciation of language on skin, more breathless and luminous than the currents of words lost upon the tongue. Those who came from the island bring the taste of salt and shingle on their lips, and hear the music as a net cast out. You and I hear it as a mirror hung over the sea, the petals of light falling on the crest of each small wave, falling everywhere and everywhere lost. The names of moths come clear to me now. Swallowtail, true lover's knot, white ermine marbled against the lamplight. When we first danced together, you were poised perfectly, turning the steps and half-said words into my body's rhythms, the quiet of things done. Again I follow you into your summer moods, holding the last echo of a beat within a beat. Here is my hand held out, give me another. And I'll just finish with the Cailleach returning to her stony form. The return. I walk through paw prints the frost has dug, among the moist grasses, my silver hair flowing like a cat's deep stretch. This is my season. Again and again I die under the blossom of leaves and count my lives by the sapped rings of trees. No one will know me, none but the wood grow, its hug of frost, its scent of moss, its naked shadow, and I, standing at the end of an embered wood, where once a light passed through me and passes again, before I remember how I appeared or how I ended, folding myself into my arms, the seed, the root, the blossom, the stone shining with all my running juices. Thank you very much for